Well, hey everyone, time for Geocache Talk. Whether at work, in the car, wherever you are, we hope you enjoy the show. Please give it a like and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, Radio Public, Spotify. You can get all the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. Big thanks to the Trail Bugs for the music and our patrons, Demon Hunter 2, Electric Water Boy, Aggie Jedi Master, Antaeus, Joshua, the geocaching vlogger, Nick at Cashley, One Kind Word, Butterfly Girl, Loon Trackers, the Aussie Geocacher, Sodak Zach, the Deadliest Cachers, Terrell 2, Neil Moore, Team D&D, Geocaching Adam, Peachy 1276, the No Code Geocachers, Curiosity Girl, Tick Magnet, Marsipanic, Bricker John, Firesafe, FS Sabero, Geo Rick, Cache Addict Mel, Geocaching Janji, the Geocaching Junkie, Sir Drumalot, Janice, Tricassius, Tom Frey, Rugels, the Bruce Zero, EGK, PBR, Casamaya, Master Sergeant USMC, Little Gears, Albedo 0.39, It's Only Barney, Purple Turtles 3, ACDC Family, None of It Tidy, AFK Geocaching, Josh Boggs, Carrot Killer, Korsgat, Geocaching with Lampe, Bren Tim 07, Dave and Karen of Cache Canada, Team Tailwagger, Black Chrome, Super Nate, The Twonky, Burnt Turtles, Padib, Kazelli, Dragon, Gunter Hunters, Acme Wild Cachers, P0001, 80K's Sarah, and our new patrons, Eastern Girls, KC, Billy Robson, Fox and the Hound, TX Wolf Totem, K-Blast, Landlocked Pirate Fam, and State to Key. I got to work on the pronunciation of that last one. I think I can get it right, but State to Key. I'll have to work on that one. If you'd like to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com/geocache talk for more details. Patrons get X tags, the new blackout coins. We're talking about a lot of coins tonight, but I'll show you real quick the blackout coin. Ooh, fancy stuff there. People I've had a lot of good comments on and it's the same backing that we've had before, so that's kind of cool. We kept it back. Other geocaching items during the year, as well as bonus content, invites to special events only for patrons. Support levels start at as little as $3 a month. Well, we're going to have a big show tonight. Well, let me start by welcoming my co-host, Jesse, who's on mute. There he goes.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to put it on mute so that
I don't blame you.
I don't laugh at your, pronouncing the name sometimes.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
trying to interrupt you and have to get you to start over.
But quite comical. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the show tonight. This is one that I'm actually, I know we've gotten to talk a little bit offline, but I'm actually really interested in this topic because I've never really pulled the trigger myself. So this walking through the process is kind of neat. So
and so much of it, like you said, so much of it we really don't know, and that's why this is going to be great to have on who we have on. So let me jump into show 109 for July 29th. As we welcome to the show Jon-Paul Barr to the show. Welcome to Geocache Talk.
Evening. Good to be here.
Thanks for being on. And it's quite warm in Estonia, is what I'm hearing, or at least near where you are. A little bit,
yeah. We reached around about 35 degrees Celsius, so it's about 95, 96 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're all baking here.
Yuck, that's bad. Yeah. So if you see a little sweat on Jon-Paul, it's not because we're grilling him too hard on Geocoin questions, because it's a little warm there today. So
it's more the steam we have to worry about.
There you go. All right. Well, first we're going to jump into some news, and then we'll get into the topic. But so geocaching news, we got to start with the GT stash, the Geocache Talk stash update.
So the first clue came out last week. The second clue came out today. It was actually already out before the show started.
It's out.
If anybody has already found it yet, but so the one thing we'll say about the clues so far is these first 2 clues apply to all of the containers that are out there or stashes that are out there.
Right.
They will get more specific to individual ones in the future. And these first 2 have been, you can find them both on the website. That's all we're going to say about them. But keep in mind that as we move forward, many of the other ones will be on social media. They'll be on all the stuff in the Geocache Talk Network universe, so to speak.
Yep.
But everybody should have access to all of them as long as they're looking. So the second clue is out and up there and ready for people to find it. The first clue is still there as well.
Yep. And they'll always, and they'll stay on there for the duration of this hunt. One thing that, and you can comment too on this, Jesse, the fact that I think people may be overthinking sometimes things. I mean, it reminds me a lot of when I try to do a puzzle. I think of it like I tend to overthink it, I think.
Yeah, you never know, really, right? So it's like when regular puzzles come out, Geocache comes out and you'll look at it and, oh, that's easy. I know exactly what that is. Or sometimes you'll look at it and go, I don't even know where to start. I have no clue. I don't get it. And other people will be zipping along, figuring it out. And you're like, well, how? What?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that either, puzzles are all hard until you figure them out. And then they're easy.
Then
you're like, oh, well, obviously, this is obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, but we didn't make it so hard that you've got to count the stitches in your U.S. flag hat. We're not that.
That's clue number 3. Why are you giving it away?
Because now they'll be wanting to do that. Everybody will be zooming on.
Right. They're like, oh, he mentioned the stitches in the U.S. hat.
Yeah, these first ones are not that hard, but in the future, as we get more specific, they will absolutely get more difficult. Yeah. We'll move up that difficulty, more stars, so to speak, on the difficulty rating. But not yet.
Not yet. And then the loot we talked about, and we even showed the loot that that is in the stash as of today. We're actually adding another item to the loot. So we're just going to steep that treasure chest is going to just keep. We're just going to fill it until we have to build a new, larger, treasure chest, and we'll go replace the old treasure chest and just put more stuff in it. So it's going to be packed
until it virtually overflows.
Well, do you
want to tell them what we're adding this week?
Yeah, absolutely. So Wayne Borman, our friend in England, is he's really big. He's been really getting into 3D printing lately. I don't know if everybody's following him, but definitely follow him on Twitter or different different places. But he's having a lot of fun printing and having the crazy things that can happen when you're trying to do 3D printing. But he's been pretty successful. He's had a couple issues where the thing messed up on him right toward the end. But anyway, he contacted us and said, I know that this first one is not international. I know it's in the lower 48 of the US, but I want to be part of it. So he is sending us this week a 3D printed geocache that we're going to place inside the virtual treasure chest. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, definitely cool.
That is very cool. I've never put one of those out before. I've found one, that somebody else hid. I've never put one out, but I'd like to, though, just to have a neat one in the area in a very, very safe place.
And I thought it was just so neat that, he didn't go, well, it's not, this doesn't apply to England. So I don't care. He saw it more as an opportunity to be a part of this. And so more power to anybody that wants to be involved. I mean, just, you email us at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Now, eventually, I think if this goes well, people are going to be able to hunt around the world in different places.
If this is successful, we definitely want to try it, a worldwide one.
Yeah. Yeah. All the way to Estonia. We'll see.
Ooh, I might actually get people over here.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about some visitors you had recently from North America. But all right, webcam watch and virtual rewards, Jesse.
So virtual rewards up to 1889 now. So August 24th is when they have to be in. So less than a month. I'm really hoping we get. I don't know what my initial prediction was. I think I said 3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But I would really like to at least see us over 2,000. So that's only 111 more to go.
Yeah.
We could definitely get that if people would just. If anybody's out there and has one, please put it out. Well,
you guys are sitting on one. What's the deal?
A group, yeah. So, that may be a lot. What it is, we've got a great, and that's a good point. So we've got a great one that we've got planned, and I think it'll be a really fun experience if we can get all the permissions. But we're getting closer now, and I'm having to deal with media and things like that to get the permissions for what we're doing. Well, it's not a secret, so I'll say what it is. It's with Denver International Airport. So we have to go through the media department and all their people, and they're of course they have to, it is what it is, right? Nobody can get hurt, right, doing this. No, it's virtual questions. It's nothing to but everything is a scam, right? So they have to be extra careful, and but if we don't do that, we're gonna have a backup one to be done, but it just won't be spectacular. This one's should be a lot of fun for anybody flying through, and there's a couple different components. It's easy, but anybody can get it flying through. That's the general idea, right? But we're gonna have a backup just in case at the last minute, if we can't get the permissions, we're at least gonna get one out. I don't want to be one of the people that sits on it and doesn't do one. So
yeah, I'm surprised. I really am that we haven't gotten a little bit closer to 4,000. But that's who knows. So
Tom mentioned you couldn't place caches in airports. That's actually events that he's thinking of.
Yeah,
the new guidelines say you can't place caches in airports. It was actually events that you can't have near, commercial hubs and things like that.
Probably physical containers too. There's probably some.
Yeah. No, because there are several here in Europe, actually at the airports. I know there's one in Germany where you have to go to the lost and found counter and ask.
That's right.
So, that's great.
Yeah, I remember. Joshua, geocaching vlogger, he found one. I think there's a lot of restrictions, but you guys saying. But anyway, yeah.
Well, we'll have a backup in case ours doesn't get out. We'll have something. It'll just be a historical landmark as a backup. That's just on the side of the road somewhere, something fun like that. But that's not what I want to do. I want to do this one that we built this huge thing. And but you can only do what you can. So,
yep. So yeah, quick note, just about events. This coming Saturday, I have an event in Franklin. I mentioned it before. I just want to make another last quick note. Franklin, Massachusetts, GC 7 terrain 466, and got pretty good chunk of pretty good gathering of folks, I think, from the area are going to be there. So I'm bringing some items, door prizes, and duck tail trackables to give away. So looking forward to that. And then you're doing. Are you still doing your week? You're not your weekly. You're
Summer of Cedo.
Summer of Cedo. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of ties into what I was going to say next to the It's still a couple months out, but the fall Cedo reward weekend is coming up.
Right.
The reason why we're even mentioning it this early ahead of time is because it takes a little while to arrange a Cedo. Yeah. It's not like a regular, coffee event where you just throw it together and don't have to worry about it. 6-7 people show up. When you're actually cleaning stuff up, you got to get permissions. You have to sign waivers and stuff like that. So because you're out there in the wild, right, and you're picking up stuff that you don't know what it is, and you got to be safe. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to put together a Cedo, if you're going to publish a Cedo for the September, start finding your place now. Get permission long time ahead of time so people can plan for it, because those are a minimum of an hour. And, it usually requires a little more than other stuff. So give people advance notice. But if there's not one near you, publish one and get you a Cedo out. And the series that we've been doing, it took a lot of work to get it started. But all summer we've picked one school each week. And we're within our local school district, we're going around and cleaning up the grounds. Some of the stuff that the maintenance people don't have time to get to, like little cigarette butts and little pieces of scraps of paper and stuff like that. Yeah. We learned a lot with that. We learned that an elementary school is really easy to clean, and a high school takes more people than we usually have. So
a lot more junk around.
Yeah. Which is a good note. Before you call and tell somebody you're going to clean up their land, make sure you're going to have enough people to actually be able to do it. So it doesn't look like you just clean up one little small section. You know, make sure you don't bite off more than you can chew, I guess. CETOs can be pretty easy, or they can be, you know, pretty complicated. So I just make sure you know what you're getting into with it. But
it's the 15th through the 23rd, by the way. That's CETO week. This fall CETO week, September 15th through 23rd around the world. So, and
real quickly, we webcam watch is down. There's they're going down a little bit. We haven't lost a lot lately, but we do currently have 8 disabled. So that means we can drop down a few.
I need to find the one from Daniel Close. He sent me a note today. We'll put it in next week's notes, but he thinks they're down, or he knows it's down in England. They're down another one, so it's kind of sad.
Yeah, one of them that's currently disabled is one of the last 2 in my state, so that's kind of sad.
And there's only one, right, Jon-Paul, in your area? There's only one left in Estonia.
Yeah, there used to be several around Tallinn here, but now the last one is down the south in a city called Viljandi. That's the last one here. I think I managed to get at least, I managed to get 2 of them in the early days. Tallinn, and obviously the one there, but that's the last one that we have here.
Wow. You had another note?
So I got to show off my new shirt.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, from my in-house designer.
That's right.
That's right. My aunt that lives with us is she makes shirts, and you know, as a hobby, not as a business, but she made me she's like, hey, you want me to make you a shirt? I'm like, yes, I absolutely do.
Awesome.
So, Geocache Talk podcast. So that's a pretty cool one there. I like it. But so brand new. Now, of course, I got it and I'm wearing it for the show, and you can't even see it on the show. So we just have the head part, right? So you can't see anything. Right. But I had to show it off anyway. So
that is awesome. Yeah, good. Glad she got to be part of the. And she made you a couple shirts before, though, right?
Yeah, she's made some other shirts too that
I love.
I wear out, like, you know, for events and stuff like that.
I like that one. Yeah, I like that one. All right. Let's dig into this. This is going to be a cool topic. We're talking with Jon-Paul Barr. We got some different things. We've got an announcement here in a moment, but first let's kind of get some background. So Jon-Paul, tell us a little bit about, give us the story of I know you because we've talked about before, you're not native to Estonia, but tell us where you were born, raised, grew up, and how you kind of got.
That's where it gets confusing. Yeah. My dad's Irish. My mom's English. I was born in England, but in '87, so I would have been about 12, I guess, 11, 12. We packed up and moved first to Greece and then to Cyprus, where we settled.
Right.
So I spent 20 years living there, going to school and working and such, until 2008, when my wife, who we'd already been married about 5 years, was kind of getting a bit homesick, and it was exactly the same period of time that the global recession hit. I just got hit really bad, and we had a newborn son. So we thought, okay, well, let's move over here and see if things are any better. To an extent, it was. Cyprus would have, it wouldn't have taken very long for me to get back into what I was doing, which was renovating listed buildings. But then I would never have got into geocaching. I would never have got into just getting back to my design roots, and wouldn't be where I am now doing coin design. So, you know, in a way, you know, as I say, one door closes, another opens. So, you know, that's the way I look at it. And it's a long way around, but we got there in the end.
Yep. Very cool. Yep. You were doing, we talked about this also before. You've been doing, you kind of had some other business that you were doing, and you kind of were doing coin design kind of on the side, right? And then kind of took off for you. You've been successful enough to do it now full time, right?
What happened was that my business, when I first moved here to Estonia, was the antique business, because my father was a master restorer and I apprenticed with him. And that's what I got into over here, because there was a shortage of good restorers and such. But although there was work, there really wasn't the money in it that it was in other countries. A lot of that's due to the history here. They just don't have the antiques that they have anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So I ended up working a lot of hours for very little money. And at that period, about that same time, I discovered geocaching totally by accident. Somebody mentioned it in a Facebook post, I think. And
right.
What's that?
What is?
I was visiting my parents in Cyprus at the time, and we live in a mountain village, up in the mountain, about 800 meters up the mountain. And I, as a joke, I punched in, the Lefkra of the village name into the geocaching map, and it's like, oh yeah, there's two in a couple of 100 meters from you. I'm like,
wow,
that's nuts, but okay. And it was one of these situations that if I'd have gone to the location, bearing in mind I had no GPS, I was utilizing Google Maps and hoping I knew where I was going. And it was a case of if I hadn't have found anything that day, I would have just like, yeah, okay, that was fun, nothing here, and moved on. Right. But because there was an actual cache at the location, it was like, that's pretty cool.
This is pretty cool.
And I thought, I've got to do more. And I managed to get, while I was on holiday there over the week, I managed to get another 9.
Wow.
Again, utilizing Google Maps only, which is pretty difficult, I might add.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, though.
But the second cache I found, I actually found an unactivated geocoin. And I had absolutely no idea what it was.
Right.
So, my interest peaks, and I started doing research into looking as to what it was and, where it came from and this and the other. And I discovered the Geocoin forum on geocaching websites.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Back before Facebook took over. I mean, it was a lot of fun on the forum. And it was, there was so much, camaraderie there. So many people that all enjoyed the same thing, and they did their missions, and you got to send stuff to people and receive stuff from all over the world, including coins, and it really got you into the whole collecting side of it.
Wow.
And as I looked more and more into it, I found that Estonia was one country that just never had their own national coin.
Right.
So I started looking into how that could be done, and at the same time, somebody told me that some of the US geocaching shops were offering designers a chance to produce their designs. You would design for them. They would take the design, and you would get a percentage of the coins they made in artist editions.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And I thought, okay, well, I can do that, and I produced a couple. In fact, I think I got the first one I ever designed here.
Oh wow! Yeah, there it is.
There we go. So this was a little bit of fun.
Yeah, it's a crocodile with a for our audio listeners. Crocodile with an ammo can.
All right, and
it's in its mouth. I like that.
And we thought, as I started producing these for them, I was also trying to produce the one for Estonia, but I was doing that alone. Through the trials and errors that I made making that one, I kind of thought, well, hang on a sec, I can actually do this myself. I don't need to give my designs away to another company.
Right.
And I started doing it a bit at a time until I produced the last one for them, which was a kind of a bit of a personal one, which is a background to me, which was my Celtic roots, which was this one here, which allowed me to play with levels of a coin, because I didn't realize before then.
There it goes. Yep.
You could actually have up to 5 levels in a coin, and you can actually get quite a lot of good effects without having to go 3D and such, just by utilizing those 5 levels.
Well, I like the fact too on that, Jon-Paul, it's not just round. I mean, round's okay, but I like the fact that you did sort of like we did with ours, with the, it's got the extra little spikes. I think you did. I think that was a cool idea as well.
Yeah, I was going with the compass rose idea.
Yeah.
As you said, most people at that time were still there's a lot of round coins more than there were.
Just standard. Yep. Yep. Cool. So we're going to get into kind of how you even begin. I know we're going to get into that here in a second. I do want to mention, though, that we're adding tonight. Our sponsorship is going up because we're bringing Jon-Paul Barr on as a sponsor of Geocache Talk. So we're very excited, Jon-Paul, to have you on along with our other sponsors, and it's very exciting. We really we met a while back, and we been sitting on Jesse. We're sitting on more info that we've kept other than just the stash. We kept our information.
Yeah. Well, it's always we get to, well, that's for another show. Well, we keep putting it on for another show, right?
Yeah. So this actually worked out great that we kind of put it all together tonight to talk about. So anyway, so if you want to find, I mean, you can go Google and find it. And there'll be a link in the show notes, but also now you just go to the Geocache Talk website, and there's a link to it, and you can just click there and go right straight to the website so that you can start the process. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's not difficult. It just takes that first step.
Yes, and that's what we're going to talk about, because this is fascinating, and Jesse and I are fascinated by this. But we're going to start with how you even begin the process of thinking about, or you thought about it, but you don't know where to go or what to do next. I guess is that a good way to put it, Jesse?
Yeah, I think many people that, now there's some people in the chat room I know that just from personal experience and know they've been involved with the process before, like for events, helping out with events and stuff like that. But I think that's one of the things that many cachers, once they've been in the game for a little while, they've seen the coins, they really like the coins, and they're like, I really want to do one for us or for our family or for, our little group here or whatever, but I think it's kind of intimidating for people because like, well, I've seen them do it for big events and, this and that, but how do I even start? And I think that's always the question. How do you start this? How do you even, from day one, how do you decide, okay, I've decided I finally want to do my coin. Now what do I do? So I think this will be a good for a lot of those people that have that same question and hadn't really pulled that trigger, so to speak.
Right. Well, I think the main thing is to understand that it's not a cheap investment, and you've got to look at it from the point of view is, are you looking at this specifically as a giveaway that you're going to give to people as you meet them, or you're going to throw into a cache or something like that? Or are you going to actually want to make a bit of money back? And, quite often I recommend to people to have 2 or 3 versions of their coin, keeping one version to be able to give out. It's what I do myself. And, have a set number that that you can get away with giving these out without being completely broke.
Right.
Right.
And then have, either 1 or 2 versions that you are going to, sell to people. There's nothing stopping you giving those away as well if that's what you wish. Right. But at least be able to recap some of the money you've put into it. It makes it easier to go, okay, well, maybe I'll do another one next year, or a special event, or something happens in your life. You think, I want to celebrate that with it. Yeah, I've got a bit of money stashed away from the last one. We can add to that. So that's always a good place to start. But just remember that things have got a lot easier over the years. I mean, I remember when the mints at one point you could only do a minimum of 300 coins. You had a layout of $17, $18, $2,000 before you even started.
Right.
That number has decreased considerably. I mean, you can make I think the minimum now is 100 if you push them in. I recommend 150, and the layout isn't so bad.
Right.
So
that's something too. As we go through the process of talking about through this, is the fact that you kind of, and that's in our notes we have, is what is the purpose? And I like the way you put that, is that there's, you could have different purposes, and you could kind of revisit a purpose of a coin. For example, like we did a coin last year, which was our green version of this one, and then Jesse and I decided we wanted to revisit this design, tweak it, and do it completely different. But then, like this coin, the purpose was just for patrons. We're not going to sell these. Whereas the original version, we decided to do a combination. We gave away the green version of this coin, and then we also sold on the website the coin at a small profit to kind of recoup some of our costs back then of what we needed to do. So,
but I think also, if I remember correctly, the back side of that coin is the same one from the previous. So
it is.
It means that you only had half the mold fees to deal with.
Right.
So the second coin is already cheaper than the first.
Sure.
So that's another advantage.
Right. So you can utilize some of those kind of things, or you could utilize, and this is a good, we'll get into more of the detail, but like, so you have a mold. So like, here's one of your coins, Jon-Paul, which is the, which I really liked. It's the
Estonian landscapes. Yeah.
Estonia, yeah. This was for the
we have every 4 years.
Song and Dance Festival.
Yeah. So every 4 years they have that big thing. I mean, it's just thousands upon thousands of people come to that event.
I love this. I love this coin. I really do. I think I like the shape. I like it's like an oval, and I like the fact that on the back of it, it's got. I think
it's a bit of 3D work. That's the actual Song Festival grounds where they the event.
Yeah, I like the. I mean, it's kind of sometimes it's hard to see on a show, but you can kind of see that it's 3D. Hopefully,
the person sitting there is not actually a person. That's actually a statue of the first composer
very cool.
or a conductor who and so where that picture was taken from, you're actually standing behind the statue looking down.
Oh, very cool. For something like this, though, like you said, you've got a mold. So, like, not that it would fit maybe in this case, but you could go back and go, let's do a version of this in red versus blue.
Absolutely. I mean, you can do as many as you want. I mean, and there are coins out there that every year they produce a different version or two versions, and the colors and the enamel colors and the metal finishes are different. So you can keep it going as long as you wanted. Whether people will buy it after you get to the 50th version, I don't know. But
well, you see a lot of state groups do that. They'll put out a new, state geocaching groups will do that a lot.
Yeah.
Something we were talking about before the show, and this is a good time to kind of bring this up because it's a good question. I think people don't really understand some of it, and they're like, well, our family. We are big fans of Mickey Mouse. And so, Jon-Paul, can you make me a Mickey Mouse coin and just stick our name on the
Absolutely, as soon as you get permission from Disney.
So, copyrights. So, this is something that
as you're thinking through your idea, you got to keep that in mind.
You got to keep it in mind. And people do it, though. Yeah. Like we talked about before, Jon-Paul, is the fact that people will still do it.
Absolutely. It is a slippery slope, though. Okay, the more obscure the character or the logo or whatever, the less likely that somebody's going to turn around and go, okay, that's mine, stop doing it. But it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. So when it comes to copywriting, again, it depends on whether if you're going to sell or you're going to keep it for yourself. You can produce coins, and there have been even recently, where they have famous characters on, or they have specific details that are under heavy copyright. If you're going to just give them out, there is that creative use of copyright, which, as a fan base, you can do it, but same with fan art. You can create something that is of a known figure, but it is completely your artwork.
Right. I forgot about that.
Even then, you might still have the parent company turning around and go, look, we don't want you to do it.
Yeah.
There is always that risk.
Because we'll get down that rabbit hole really quickly like we always do. Let's start with this. So I have now decided that I'm going to make a coin.
Right.
I've got this idea in my head, and I'm going to stay away from the copyright. What would be the first step then? So I have an idea that I want to make mine, and it's related to something in my family.
Right.
Would I just call you up and say, make me a coin? Or
yeah, I have a lot of people that sometimes do that. They say, okay, we want a coin. It's like, okay.
Right.
Now what? I personally find it more difficult to design for myself than I design for clients, because when I design for myself, I have to start from scratch with no idea of what I'm working on. And quite often I will get halfway through a design and go, no, I don't like that anymore. Or I want to add way too much because it's mine and I can do what I want with it. When you're working with a client, you've got to, first of all, discover what their budget is. That is extremely important, because, you don't often get people that say, it does happen. It has happened to me, where they'll turn around and go, well, we don't worry about the budget. We just want it awesome. That's when you can go to town on things and go, right, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to pull out all the stops. We're going to have moving parts and 3D and everything else. And yeah, but most people don't have that kind of budget. So we need to whittle it down to what we can do. And that, obviously the price is going to be dictated on size, shape, how many versions you're going to have, whether it's going to be a brass or zinc coin. So brass is a lot heavier, nice for 3D work and such. And the, zinc is a lot lighter and you don't have the weight and it's easier to work with and such. But you need to be able to say, well, this is what we're going to be working on. So the way I start is I will say, right, list all of the kind of things that you would like on the coin. Doesn't necessarily have to, it's not all going to go on, but list all the things that you would like on the coin and separate it by this I would like if possible, this has to go on.
Gotcha.
Right. And then I can then start playing around and seeing what will fit where, and whittle it down to, maybe 5-6 items that all gel well together. Right. And then I'm going to throw it back at you. People will say, yep, that's fantastic, and leave it at that. Other people will go, well, yeah, it's all right, but I'm not quite sure about this, or I'm not quite sure about that. Can we check? So within the fee that I charge for design, I will say, right, well, I will allow 1 major change and 3 minor changes within this initial costing.
Right.
You do get some people that keep coming back, and there you have to say, you don't like doing it, but at some point you have to say, hey, okay, enough. You want any more done, we're going to have to, charge a bit more. But
you're a professional. This isn't just, I don't think people sometimes think through the fact that you're hiring an artist. I mean, it's something that I don't understand why they don't think that, but sometimes I think people are like, oh, well, it's geocaching. Nobody really is thinking. It's like, wait a minute. It doesn't really matter that to you, it's a free hobby, Yeah, it can be a free hobby, but yet
it hadn't been free in a long time for me. I don't know about you.
No, it hadn't been free for a while for me as well. But it's and that's where it gets into spend a little money and you get some incredible stuff. I mean, you really can. And so I think that the thinking through the fact that you're hiring somebody to create something that's, if you want to, I've seen some terrible coins. I think we all have. It's like,
I've
wow.
Some terrible coins.
No,
seriously, it does happen, and sometimes it can be down to the mint. I designed a coin years ago before I realized I had to keep ahead of what the mint art was like and what the mint was doing without you telling them. And one of the coins I came out with, even now people say, oh yeah, if you designed this coin, I'd really like one if you have one. I'm sitting there going, no, you really don't want this one. So it does happen.
That's an artist too. An artist is going to take something that many of us will look at and go, man, that's awesome. And go, it's crap. Let me throw it away right now. It's like, no, don't throw it away. It's good.
We see the art in it, and you see that one imperfection that nobody else is ever going to pick up, and that's all you see left when it's your art, right?
That is very true. That happens so often.
Show that if you don't mind, show that we were looking at before the show. Somebody sent you in a little picture, and then you're rendering afterwards, kind of as an example of the process.
Good example.
And this is again, this is why you're hiring an artist, right? Because unless you're an artist yourself, or you know whatever, you're not going to do what a graphic designer can do. So hopefully we can. Can you make his screen the main one there?
Yeah, I did. I highlighted him. So yeah.
Okay, so this is a friend of mine in England. He owns geocache land. He's known as Scotty Duck here in Ledger.
Yeah, and it's going to be in the show notes. We have a link to Ian in Geocache Land. So go ahead. Sorry.
That's a lot of my producing. I mean, I try and steer clear of a lot of the production side of it, mainly because I just don't have time. That's what I allow him to do, and he can have the headache with the Chinese.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, quite often people will send me something like this, which is quite a bad clip art of a duck with some added bits and pieces.
We can't see the clip art of the duck, though.
Yeah.
We have the new one. Can you see the clip art of it?
I can see he's showing the old one first. He's going to show us the new one here in a minute. That's the original.
Okay, yeah.
But the thing about the original, though, Jon-Paul, is the fact, at least, that you got something from Ian that gave you sort of. Yeah, right. I think that's something people don't realize. It's like, yeah, this isn't your final.
And that's not terrible. That's a decent looking.
It's not bad.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
It gives the artist something to work with.
Right. I mean, we always need something to work with. That is true. So then
you could make that into a coin, but then you see what you did with it.
Where you took it, which is awesome. Look, and then I love it side by side. Jon-Paul, it's perfect. That is awesome.
I mean, you know, I looked at this and I thought, well, okay, well, the wings are on upside down to start with. The beak is wrong. You know, I've never seen a duck with eyebrows. So, you know, you kind of have to take it from there and try and evolve it into something that is much more attractive, not only to the client, but also if this is something. I mean, this is his brand now, and it's recognized, you know, wherever he goes. So, you know, it's something that it was. If it had stuck with this, I think he probably would have got a lot more laughs and likes. So,
right.
You know, and that's what we're here for. This is what we. You know, we take away and give back something that they can use in a professional scenario.
It did turn out. I think it turned out fabulous.
Oh yeah, that's great.
The way you took him and you gave him, you basically took, like you said, you took sort of just a something and you actually animated. In a sense, you animated the duck. I mean, the duck now looks like a cartoon character, a good cartoon character. I mean, he's got personality. He's got, you know, you've got him smiling. He's got actual wings. You know, he's got this, you got the St. Andrew cross on him. He's got, which he had before, but you sort of incorporated everything in such a great way. And you went through the process. Obviously, you had to go through the process of going through and, okay, this is a Pantone, which I've learned a lot about Pantone lately. So I guess Pantone is sort of a standard nowadays.
Right. So let me come back onto.
No problem. Yep.
So this. So, but basically, Pantone is the main printing booklets that are used by, you know, printers and such worldwide. So I have my stack of them behind here. So cool. One thing you have to realize is that all computer monitors are different. So depending on how they're set up, the colors from one monitor to another monitor can be different.
Right.
And you know, so once I've figured out what looks good visually,
right,
I've then got to match that to one of these colors.
Yeah.
To make sure that what comes from the mint is what I'm seeing.
I'm glad it's you and not me. That gives me a headache even trying to match just for one room for paint.
Gosh, that's true. The good thing, though, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jon-Paul, but the fact that people can go ahead of time and they're like, for example, they're like, well, I want it to be green. Well, yeah, I get that. But is it helpful if somebody who's wanting a design, can they go look at the Pantone website and kind of go, I need something in sort of this range of green, and then you can kind of work with them?
Okay. You can find all the colors on the website, but bear in mind, though, that what you see on your screen might not be what I'm seeing on the screen.
Right.
So again, it comes down to, you know, the actual physical color that they have.
Right.
It does make it a little bit difficult, but this is why me personally, I always like to have samples of a coin done, you know, before full production gets started, because then I can send that to the client and they can look at it and go, yeah, well, that's okay, but not too sure about that color, and we'll change it. You know, it's
right. And that seems like the most important part of the whole process, right? Is really, well, that's why you hire a professional designer like you. Get something that you can really be proud of, because for most people, this is a pretty big investment, right?
Absolutely.
They're making this coin. They'll probably only do this once, or may do, you know, another version of it one day. But this is you're getting into the game. This is not the free hobby. You're investing a little more in it, and you want something that both you as the designer and they are very happy and proud to, whether you're going to sell it or give it out. You want to be.
Yeah, well, this is something that I learned from another geocoin designer on your side, Christian Mackey.
Yes.
I remember it's going back a good few years, must be about 5-6 years now. I was interested in upping my profile, and I contacted him and saying, you know, would you be interested in doing a collaboration coin with me? I wasn't sure if he was even going to answer me back, because he was up there and I was down here. You know, he did. He answered me and he said, yeah, let's work on something. And 6 years later, we're still trying to figure it out. But in the meantime, he has taught me so much more to what goes into designing coins. He's, you know, freely given me his, you know, tips and tricks to, you know, software and everything else. So, you know, I really have to put a huge, you know, shout out to him, because he's really been a mentor to me over the years. And, you know, the fact that, you know, people like yourself keep on going, oh, you know, there's you and there's Chris Mackey. And, you know, I'm still like, well, you know, he's here and I'm still, you know, got a long way to go.
Well, you know, really we're talking, really, I know you're saying that, but really everybody I've ever talked to, Jon-Paul, is like Chris Mackey and Jon-Paul Barr. I mean, those are the two, you know, that do the greatest work. And I really, but yeah, Chris is, you know, he's sent us some coin. He sent us, you know, for the loot, I've got one of his, this FTF coin that we've added to it's sitting now in the treasure chest out there in the lower 48, wherever it's currently located in all 6 or 8 or 10 or whatever the number is of them that are out there. But, you know, Chris is, you know, and this is something, again, yourself or Chris, I mean, if you're wanting to do a coin and you like you're not quite sure, I think it does help a little bit. I know you don't want to copy what other people are doing, but I think what's helpful is you can go look at a Chris Mackey coin or your coin and kind of maybe start to see your idea being fleshed out. Maybe.
Sure. I mean, what you've got to understand is that the designers are like, you know, like many people in certain specific artistic and craft professions. We all do things slightly differently. We all have slightly different styles.
Sure.
Now, both myself and Chris were actually trained graphic designers. We both went to college and university. I think definitely college from my point, to actually study graphic design. Right. So we do have the ability to, you know, change. And if somebody says, oh, I want an Art Nouveau coin style, or I want, you know, a modern style or whatever, we can do that. But if you look at coins that we both do more for ourselves, as well as, you know, some of the generic stuff that we do, there are specific style elements that you can say, okay, that's a Chris Mackey coin. That's a JP coin. And what I suggest is, you know, look online, look around and see which coins take your fancy. Look at the ones that you think, you know, yeah, my coin would look nice styled like that. And then find out who designed it. Mm-hmm. You know, it may be me, it may be Christian, it may be someone completely different. So it's a case of, you know, go with something that you like. There's nothing worse than paying a lot of money out for a coin that you get there and think, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. So somebody go out there. So starting from the beginning, somebody has an idea and decides, you know what, I'm going to do this. So they've got general idea in their head and they start formulating ideas. They look online, look at the different designers and go, you know, I really like this style or, you know, this kind of thing. And let's say they settle on you then and they contact you and say, y'all start talking. Here's my list of things that I need and have to have on there. This would be cool. How long does that process generally take? So that from the design process, that rough timeline, if everything's going great.
I normally say that I mean, obviously I have to be able to fit in with other work that I have on. But, you know, if I'm saying, well, I'm going to start tomorrow, it can. I usually say give me a week to formulate. I mean, obviously I'm not going to be working a solid week on it because, you know, sometimes you just have to sit and mull things over. But it's a case, give me a bit of time to have a look at what you want, have a look at your design style that you've chosen, and see what we can work from there. And we'll get some sketches put together and see if that is the road you want to go down. What we normally say from start to finish, from the start of the design process to the end of production, is usually around about 12 weeks. Okay. I mean, obviously the production side is, you know, a major part of it, but that's a little bit, it's an overestimate. It allows us, in case there's any blunders from the mint, if there's something they haven't understood and, you know, it hasn't quite gone the way it should have, it allows us that fallback time to be able to, you know, get in there and, you know, put something right if it has had a problem.
So in that 12 weeks, so the first week or so, 7 to 10 days, depending, which is actually pretty amazing that you go from concept to actual art, you know, within a week. But
it depends on the theme. It depends on the design idea. It depends on how much information I've managed to glean from the client. I mean, some people just come to me with a sketch already, and they go, right, here, convert that into a design. So, but it's not always that easy. Now, if I can find one, I don't have the other pictures to show you, but I'll give you an example. This is a series of coins, a horoscope series I'm doing alongside Ian in the UK, and there's a local artist to him who produced a load of artwork, and he liked it so much that he wanted to use it for a coin series.
Right.
And now, so this is the Gemini version of the coin.
Yeah, I saw that on the website.
Yeah. Now,
so it's the twin. It's the twin skulls in this case.
Right. Now, well, the whole theme to her artwork was all skulls. So, you know, but the thing is, the artwork that came to me, she only works in what's called pointillism. So that means the whole piece of artwork is made up of millions of little dots.
Right.
I then had to convert that into usable art to be able to send it.
Right.
But each one of these coins took me around about 12 hours.
Wow.
That's the front side, to convert from her artwork into something that we could use to send to the mint.
Right. So a more difficult piece of art or more complicated, complex piece of art could take longer.
Absolutely.
But that's, you know, and I understand everybody when they're doing one, or I know I would be the same way. You're excited, you want to see your art or whatever, but that's not what you'd want to rush. You know, you don't, you get that. You want to get exactly what you want.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I try and connect with my clients on a personal level as well. So, you know, 9 times out of 10, I will ask them, if I haven't met them outside somewhere at an event or wherever, where I've actually been able to sit front, you know, face to face and talk, I will try and get a Skype conversation, you know, call going with them so that we can. I mean, I've been up to, you know, 4 a.m. talking with people in Australia because it's the only time they can speak to me. But when you get so much more out of 15-20 minutes speaking face to face than you do a week of emails.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So now let's say the artwork is done. What's the next step? And one question that came up, and this may be one of the next steps, but the icon that you can sometimes get, you see with the coins, like the do you design that if you're designing the coin, or is that a Groundspeak thing?
No, I can do that as well. Quite often, unless the client wants something specific, which is different from what's in the design, sometimes I will just choose an element from the existing coin that will work for the icon. But there have been times where, you know, a client has said, well, we want specifically this kind of thing. And yeah, that kind of thing I do charge a little bit more for.
Right.
But
well, because Groundspeak's going to charge you too.
Well, again, yeah. Well, that's yeah. They're going to charge for the icon anyway. Yeah. For the actual design side, yeah, I do charge a few more euros, you know, just to knock that up. But nothing that's going to break the bank.
So so now the design of the coin, now potentially the design of the icon. What else is in that process, or you know, what's the next step? I guess
the next step before we can go any further is I've got to then send this off to Groundspeak to make sure that they are happy with the design itself. They are obviously they've got to look at it from their business point of view, and with it being a family-friendly game, everything has to be within that scope. I've had this carousel of conversations with various lackeys over the years of what we can and can't do, to the extent that sometimes clients have said, okay, well, I'm actually going to produce this coin as a non-trackable because I still want it done, even though Groundspeak says no, because once it's non-trackable, it's not within their purview.
Right.
But yeah, there are ways of getting around it. Now, the Geocoin Fest here in Europe last year was in Belgium, and one of the most famous landmark for Belgium is the statue of the pissing boy. Now,
probably not as
had a bit of problem with that.
Right.
Can't understand why.
Right.
But there are ways of getting around it. So this is what I produced, which was accepted. Let's try and get that.
You're fine. Yeah, keep going. That's good.
Where are we gonna get this focused?
It will focus here in a second. I like the shape of that one, by the way. That coin's kind of got. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Censored.
Got a censored stamp across it. That's kind of funny.
Across the boy. That's awesome.
That was allowed.
Right.
I mean,
that's awesome.
As we say, it covers but doesn't hide. You know what's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Trackable when they have to approve the artwork.
Absolutely.
So and it's got to have that one tagline on it too, right? Trackable at geocaching.com.
Always has to have trackable. Well, you can change it slightly. You can have track this or follow this at, as long as it's got the geocaching.com on it, then you're all good. Okay. Of course, if you are doing anything with Groundspeak's logos, so Signal the Frog, for example, it has to have the trademark logo next to it. And
here's one you did that's also sitting in the Geocache Talk stash.
Right. Again, that was one that I had a little bit of an argument with.
Issues, yeah, because it's called Nanos to Ammos, but it had a different name at one point. But I still like.
I don't know if we can say that out on air though. But
that's all right. That's okay. But I like the fact that people can people should, I think outside the box a little bit, in the fact that this coin the coin is not square, it's not round, it's the actual character, it's the frog, Signal the Frog,
right,
sitting, and it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
it didn't have to be a circle or a square.
No, right. It didn't have to, and so you could, I mean circle is nice, but yet, you know, we've got a lot of circle coins. I mean,
so if it's not one that they're particularly arguing about, and it's and it's a benign design, how long does it typically take them to get back to you and go, yes, this is okay?
That can go as quickly as the same day.
Oh, okay. So that's not a big long process then, unless there's an issue with it.
Right. So once we go from there, then I will send the mint art, like you saw there of Scotty Duck, with the Pantone colors and the sizes, and that will all go through to the mint for them to create what they class as their mint art. Usually, they're just taking my artwork and converting it for their computers to be able to recognize.
Right.
Tom's just put there. New signal doesn't look like that. No, it's true. That particular coin was produced a few years ago, and my personal opinion, and I know there's going to be people that are going to hate me for this, I don't actually like the new signal. I like the original one. He's a little bit more, I don't know. It's something. The new one doesn't quite sit right. But hey, that's their design, and people like it, so that's all good. But yeah, my one was designed a few years ago before the new signal came in.
So one thing that we talked about before the show, I think it's important for people to know, is that you could do a process where you design it, you not design it, but you get your ideas solidified. They contact you. They get a professional artist like yourself to design it, and then you get to the point where it goes to a mint, and you get you called it. You can get the mold and the sample done.
Right. So what I've done with some clients that are not 100% certain on finances, or they're not quite ready, what we can do is we say, right, pay for the molds, which is usually no more than a couple of $100,
right?
And the small fee for producing usually around about 6 samples and have them sent to you. At that point, you're only in it for at a very reasonably low worst case scenario. If you lost that, you wouldn't be too hard up.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Nobody wants to lose a couple $100, but
but at least you
also the molds are kept for, I believe it's up to 3 years. So you still have that period of time to come back to it. And then you go, okay, right, I've got the money now, and the mold's already there to go.
Yeah.
Sure, the quote might have changed slightly because obviously inflation and changes in prices, but it's not usually, by a huge amount. But yeah, we can cut it up into that amount. So you've paid your design fee, you paid your molds and samples, and if you don't want to go any further, okay, you've got your 6 samples, and that's that.
So like you said, or if you need to do it in almost like installment. You could do first part, and you could wait 3 months, and then do the run. You're like, okay, we're ready now. Let's do 100, and we can go from there, kind of thing.
Sure, that works. I mean,
is there anything that somebody has come to you, and this is something I know that I think Jesse's probably thinking the same thing. Is like, is there something that somebody's come up with, and you said, no, we can't do that. It's not physically possible to do in a coin, or it's not outside of copyrights. But just
right. Yeah.
I need a coin that's like 5 feet. I mean, nobody's gonna mention that. But
I think when it comes down to it, it's down to budget.
Right, but so if you want to say
I want a 5 foot coin, then okay, I've got the money to pay for it. We'll
right, if you got the money for it.
But
there's some big old huge coins back here I've got. I mean, this one from Treasure. I mean, you've probably done coins this size. I mean, you can see the difference in size. I mean,
yeah, I'm working on one at the moment, which I cannot.
Honestly,
I can't talk much about it at the moment.
That's okay.
But
this is like, I have a ruler in front of me. I mean, this is, you can just see the size of it versus like, the size of the, I mean, it's kind of similar, but it's just, I've seen coins even bigger than that. I mean.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've got a few of them.
Like Jesse, the Geo Woodstock ones from.
Oh yeah, 14er. Those were huge. I think Chris Mackey designed that one.
I mean, thing's. I mean, that's even bigger than this one. I mean, you can kind of see. Well, it's about the same size, I guess. It's still bigger.
I'm producing one, or I've designed and producing one for myself for the EU Geocoin Fest, and the base coin is 3 inches. And then there's a few extra bits that will move, and they will make it even bigger. But that's what I'm saying about it.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, that's something that I think this is one of the Christian Mackey coins that we're gonna get. I don't want to go too far off into the weeds, but this one's kind of cool. If you all seen ones like this, this is a heart locket where it comes apart, and now you've got 2 parts to it, and you can
now see when you're doing something like that. And I guess it really is up to what you're saying is up to your imagination and budget, right?
Absolutely.
But things like that, when you start having magnets and movable parts, that's really going to up the cost, the production cost. So not the design cost as much, but the production cost, I would say.
Right. I mean, to an extent, there is some more to the mechanics from the design side, because obviously you've got to be able to design it so that the mint can look at it and go, okay, we know what you want us to do.
Right.
So there is that. You do have to look into the mechanics of making sure it works. I mean, I had myself and a colleague, we had an idea for a coin for next year that we wanted to do with and going back to what you were saying, is there a coin that you physically can't make? We found one. Unfortunately, we wanted to have something suspended above with magnets, and we tried forever to get this thing to work and tried different sizes. That ain't gonna work. But it is down to your imagination. You can produce. Yes, we have to come up with so many different ideas because so many have already been done. So every year it is, from a design point of view, it is like reinventing the wheel year after year, and it does get tough. But if you come up with an idea, you see something out and think, hey, that would translate well into a coin, or then we can do it. I mean, a good example is our reflectors that we did last week.
Oh yeah,
these right here. I've got one. You talking about the one you did for Estonia?
Right now, Estonia being a Baltic Nordic country. I mean, as soon as it gets to around about September, beginning of October, it gets dark here, and it's actually illegal to walk around, on the pavements and such without a reflector on either your jacket or bag. So this is something they've been making only in the last year or so here, where they're actually the women were making the same kind of thing but with beads, and I thought, hey, I can do that with a coin. And we used glitter, and we used glow in the dark enamels, and the reflective tape on the bottom, and
these are tassels kind of.
They've been really popular. A lot of people have bought them for the exact reason, because it's functional.
It's a functional coin you can wear. That's a fascinating. What a great idea! Is people can start think outside the box a little bit and go, hey, I can make in this case, a coin I can wear. And that's just a tremendous idea.
Who would ever keep a trackable code on them all the time? Who would want something like that? Nobody would do that.
Oh my gosh, would they want? Yeah, like a human.
Be silly. So idea, design, proof, and then once that's decided on, and that's exactly what you want, all those the proof mint, does it then go off to the manufacturer then, and then they have it and they assemble, or if there's moving parts? And one of the questions asked was, if there's moving parts, is that a machine that puts that together, or do they hand, like when the doors open or whatever?
A lot of the times they are put together by hand, because they have to be they're fitted properly and balanced properly. I mean, even the enamels, and a lot of people don't actually know this, that if you ever get the chance, Google enamel coins and check out the photos. All the enamels, it doesn't matter how big or how small those enamel dots are on your coin, the enamel's actually inserted by hand with someone with a syringe.
Right. Wow. So for this case, it was simple. It was one color, but somebody had to sit there with this coin, and they had to put the black enamel by hand onto this coin. Wild. And then they went to the next coin. They did the next one, and then so forth.
Well, I mean, that makes sense then. So if you order a minimum of 150 or so.
Yeah. So you've got someone sitting there all day doing this.
There's a lot of labor in that. So how long is that? And I guess this is a hard question maybe to answer, but you said 12 weeks was generally the whole process. Is 10 of those weeks, is that pretty much the production time? Is that what it is?
Yeah, around about that. So yeah, Tom's just said, "Wow, and we get these coins as cheap as we do." Well, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, we are dictated by the prices that come out of China. So if China just turns around one day and goes, "Screw this, we're going to put the prices up," we have to go with that. I mean, it has happened in the past where the prices have gone up slightly, and the geocaching community went, "What?" And we're sitting there going, do you know how much work goes into each one of these coins? And most people don't. So, it is quite difficult to imagine just what it's not all, machine made.
Right.
It's just even with the molds, when it comes to especially 3D molds, they're actually carved out by hand by somebody.
Wow.
Do you, and this may not be the same for every designer, but so you get them, they show back up from the factory. Do you have those sent to you so you can look at them one more time before it goes out, make sure it's right, or do you have them shipped?
It depends on who the client is and what our time limit is. The only yes, I would like to be able to go through every coin that I produce for people, but the downside to that is you then have added shipping costs. So you've got first, I've got to ship from China to me, and I've got the customs to deal with over here. That puts on money. Then I've got to then check them, make sure they're okay, then send them off to the client. That adds more shipping and possibly customs taxes on their side. So quite often they'll be they'll either be shipped directly to them, or if they're the shipping costs depends again where they are. Then we will try and do that if we can to check to make sure there are no errors. I mean, it does happen. Sometimes you get where enamel hasn't quite gone properly. Sometimes they've actually used the completely wrong colors. That's always fun.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So there are things that do happen. We just have to kind of try and nip it in the bud to make sure that it's not a huge issue, which is exactly why samples are very important, because at least you've got something to go back to them and go, hang on a sec.
Yeah.
This is what you sent me.
Right.
This is nothing like it.
Yeah.
So
I think most people will be happy though. Sorry, Jesse, but I think most people will be, I think, at least for me, I'll sleep better at night if I know that at least you've seen a sample of it. That way I can know.
Samples will always, regardless of whether the final product will go direct to the client or not, there will always be a set of samples will come to me and to the client. So because I wouldn't allow it to be done without having seen that.
Right.
That's awesome. Good.
So you this is the coin process, but you do a couple other things, like you did that reflector, and then before the show you had a
we're talking about
this thing called.
What are these called?
Okay, these are Geocoins. So this is something that came out of Germany initially, and they are a laser printed and then laser cut on perspex, plastic perspex.
Yep.
These things are not so expensive. They're within the realm of path tag prices. So
cool.
That was my business card. And
awesome.
they're around about euro 20 per piece.
Here's
very cool because
it's good size.
People will do like business cards and things like that. Their own calling card, so to speak. You use it as business card or their own signature swag that they put in. But the level of that is a whole different level, right?
These will get chunked, unfortunately.
Right, and they'll end up mushed up and stuff. If you put
this one probably won't get chunked. They'll keep this. To me,
they're keeping that. There's no.
That's the whole point. And another thing, which is an adopted thing from here in Europe, which is not so much done in the US at this point, is that every one of my business cards has a discover code on it. So it's the same code which is done throughout the whole order that I've made. And it allows them to be able to discover it. So in a way, it's trackable as well. I've had people contact me and go, "Well, I found this in a cache, and I can't figure out how to, retrieve it." And I have to say, "Well, no, actually, if you want it, you can keep it. It's purely that." But
and for the people that can see that, can you show it one more time?
Yeah.
That's your original artwork too. That's your logo, your design, and that cat, the cat dressed up with a little bow tie there. That's your original artwork too, right?
Yeah, he was originally designed for the Estonia Mega that I hosted a few years ago, and he originally looked well, like that.
Oh, there we go.
Right.
But yeah, when the event was not then going to be continued, and they weren't going to use the character, I thought, well, okay, well, he was too good to miss, so I redesigned him slightly for myself, and he's now my mascot for the shop.
Yeah,
so that's again the advantage of having somebody like you, a designer, come up with something like that. Whether it's going to be these coins or signature swag, this thing, that's something that you're really going to be proud of if you get that artwork right the first time. And people are going to a lot of times have seen that before they ever meet you. If you're putting them in caches and stuff, and that speaks a lot. Because we've all seen a coin out there that we're just like, ooh, that's not good.
Yeah. Oh.
And you're like, man, somebody really thought that was a good plan. But I guess everybody has their own interpretation. But
absolutely, and the thing is, and this is something that people do forget, and this has happened when it comes to events that I've designed coins for. They've come to me and they said, okay, we'll design our coin for us. It's like, yeah, fine. Well, get me the details, give me the logo, whatever, and that. And they say, oh yeah, well, we need to bring in a designer for our logo and such. And I'm like, well, what am I?
Yeah,
I don't just design coins.
Right. They probably don't. Yeah, they don't think about it. They forget that part of it, right?
Whether it's T-shirts, business cards, stickers. We've done so much over the year. Even stuff. Even now, at the moment, I've just been contacted by a local gaming shop. We're making metal tokens for one of their board games. So
wow, cool.
When a designer can pretty much design anything.
Right.
That you throw at them. Granted, there are some specific things that are better left to designers. Somebody asked me to design a magazine, I'll be like, oh, yeah, maybe not. But from swag and products and stuff like that, yeah, we do that all the time.
That's a good point. The fact that people who are listening to the show, wherever they are in the world, thank you for listening. They might go, I don't want a coin, but I do need something that I want to do for a banner. And they could come to you and they could say, I've got an idea. Could you spend some time doing a design? We'll come up with a price and we could do something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, these were some car stickers that I produced, they're trackable.
Very cool.
Yeah. I did last year. We had the bumper stickers that we did for Woodstock.
I like on that one how on the heart that you showed, it's not. Yeah, I like how you did it because it's not cut, dried, stuck in the middle. You did a little offset and you let
very cool design. Yeah,
yeah. I like the fact that the heart has some texture to it. The geocaching logo, you don't need the whole thing. You've taken the correct art, and to me, that's why you get an artist, because I'm not the person to go for that. I'm gonna stick it in the center of the thing. It's like a photo. It's like you're not supposed to take a photo directly at something. A lot of times, you're supposed to sort of use the grid on your. I
have. By the way, I have a lot of this stuff on my website for sale.
Good. Yes.
There you go. We'll make sure we'll have a link, but you can also get there off geocachetalk.com and there'll be a link in the notes. And but
somebody just asked a question. So they asked it, have I ever turned anyone away because I was too busy?
Mm-hmm.
Or no, yes and no. I've never turned anybody away as such. I have put them in touch with somebody else. Sometimes Christian, sometimes another friend of mine.
Yeah.
If I was completely out, but that was the only time that happened was when I was doing the mega. And as many people who have done megas will know, you just don't have time for anything. Right. As to is there a busier time of year? Yeah, just before the summer. So April, May, everybody goes, oh, we've got this event in June. We've got this trip in July. Can you get it done? And it's like you're going, Yeah, no. You know, so
right.
I mean, okay, yeah, there is ways of cutting down time. You can say, well, we don't want samples, we don't want this. Can be done. I've done it before, and sometimes it comes out okay, sometimes it doesn't, and that's at the risk of the person who's, you know, hired us. Yep. But if you are thinking about having something done, you know, you need it for a specific date, then the sooner the better. I have people like the Finnish Mega. I design for them every year. It's the 5th year now. Next year will be the 6th year. They've already been in contact with me for next year's.
Cool. So,
you know, it's the sooner the better.
Sure. All right. Well, we're starting to wrap things up. Jesse, you had another comment you want to make real quick?
Yeah. So, and I was going to say the same thing. We'll run long and we'll talk about this all day long. But so, kind of just in general, do you have any tips? And we can, you know, as we close out, you can mention more. But any tips or any advice you would give somebody that's kind of like, I think I want to do this now, and now I have some information. Take some time on the design, or what was the biggest thing you would tell somebody if that's kind of on the fence there?
Make sure that you understand upfront the cost, because that's the one thing that does stop people once they've spoken to me and they go, "Oh, I wasn't sure that was going to cost that much." It is usually the money side. It's better to sit back and go, okay, well, I know that this is going to cost me at least, you know, $1,000. So how long will it take to save up $1,000? Well, you know, depending on what job you do, I guess. You know, I love it when the Norwegians come to me because they have way too much money. But you know, a few 2, 3, 4 months, you can put together $1,000 out of, you know, you know, money that you've put aside for, you know, rainy day or whatever, and then go for it. You know, there's nothing worse than sitting there going, "Oh, I wish I'd done that."
Yeah.
You know, but make sure that it is what you want before you start it. That is the most important thing. Don't do it because somebody said, "Oh, well, that's a really good idea. I think you should do it." It's got to be your idea. It's got to be you that's doing it. And if it's got to be your coin, it needs to be your design.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
And this is one of those things, you know, you're kind of at another level in geocaching. This is not your first weekend thing. People have been into the game for a while, and, you know, now they decide they want to go ahead and make that leap, or a group too. But I mean, personally, or a group doing it, it is something that you go into knowing that there's money and then time. You can't do this for an event next month. This is months out. So it's a big process.
Right. It's something that we do have to we do have to, you know, consider how long things take, and it's not just, you know, even down to small things. I mean, you know, stickers, for example. I've had people come to me and go, "Oh, well, we decided now we want stickers for our event," and they've come to me like 2 days beforehand. It's like, okay, yes, I know 1,000 stickers can be run in, you know, a few hours, but you've still got to produce the design. You've still got to vector it. We've got to get it ready for their machines, and then we've got to put the order in ourselves, and maybe they don't have time straight away
and ship.
And so we don't want to wrap up without mentioning you're going to be going to CoinFest soon, right?
Yeah, I will be at both the EU CoinFest, which is in West France. In the 15th of September, and then I will be in Seattle for the 30th of September, I believe.
Yep, September 30th. Yep.
Yeah, 2 trips to the US in 1 year. That must be crazy.
I know, because he was at. Hopefully, people got to meet you if they were at Gigastock, you know, or if they didn't, you know, they missed out.
But there was so many people that said, "Oh, we can't make it to the Giga. You're going to have to come to CoinFest," and it's like.
All right.
I tried to explain that to my wife. You know, that was a conversation.
Yeah. But you're going to make it. That's awesome. So if people are going to CoinFest and they didn't get to go to Gigastock, they'll get to beat you. And you know, definitely take a minute, come by your booth. And
well, I'm not actually having a booth.
No booth? Okay. Well,
I've decided not to do a booth for the simple reason that you know, I want to enjoy the event. You know, I thought with the Giga, I thought, well, I'll have my store open for a couple of hours, and then I'll go and enjoy the event. I didn't leave my booth until, you know, after the rain happened.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. You were there the whole. Yeah. I didn't see you until we talked about it. I mean, I saw you beforehand, and then, like you said, you were like tied up for the whole time. But the people can find you because they've watched the episode. They can find you. You know,
absolutely. And anybody who wants to have a chat, or anybody that's coming to Estonia, I mean, they're more than welcome to drop me a line. And you know, I'm literally 20 minutes from the port, so we you know, people that come in on the cruise ships, you know, they like to, you know, give me a bell and see if I'm around.
That's
perfect.
Cool.
Yeah,
one thing I will be doing, and we're not sure whether it's going to be individual or, and I probably shouldn't say it, but anyway, I will be doing a Q&A talk at CoinFest as well.
Oh, cool! Very cool.
At both of them.
So that'd be really good for people.
The one in France and the one in Seattle.
And anybody who wants to come and talk to me about a coin design while I'm at the CoinFest, please do. In fact, it's probably easier if you drop me a line, you know, through Facebook or you know, through my website beforehand, so I know who is wanting to talk to me, because I don't go anywhere without my sketchpad.
There you go. It's perfect. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, JPS Geodesigns. It will be we're putting it will be in the show notes. Right up at the very top of our show notes. We'll put it right there. And yeah, or just if you don't want to remember all that, just go to the website and click on the cat. Right?
Yeah, he's a lynx, actually.
He's a lynx. There you go.
He's the national animal for Estonia.
Oh, that's awesome. So follow the links.
There's actually a little fun with that, because when we were doing the CoinFest, so the mega here, the president of Estonia was a man called President Ilves. Ilves is in English, which is his family name, Ilves. It translates to lynx.
Right. And how about that?
Actually made bow ties fashionable in Estonia. He always wore a red bow tie. So that was our little shout out to him.
Awesome. That's awesome. Right. Perfect. Jesse, last thought. I'm gonna wrap up.
You know, I hope, and now talking through this process, we've got to talk offline before too, but we just had this conversation in our house recently about do we want to finally go ahead and make a coin? So I think we'll start having that chat now, and we've always wanted to have one, you know, made for us, for our family. It's such a big part of our family that, you know, I think we'll get a little closer to making one now. So
part of it, I think too.
Good thing I know a guy, right?
You know a guy now. And Jon-Paul, I'll let you have the last word here in a second. I want to say one thing I think people need to realize too is you can do it I like the fact that you can do it in pieces. So you can do the design, you can do the molds, you can do the samples, and then you could do that part, and then you could wait a few months and do the rest of it. So I think that's kind of I mean, that's, to me, that's appreciate the fact that you guys are willing to sort of work with people and do that.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we try and help as much as we can. I mean, even with events. I mean, I've had events from all over. You know, can't come up to me and go, oh, you know, can you donate something to the event? Can you help us out with something? You know, if it's physically possible for me to do so, I do.
Yeah.
You know, watch my email now just go nuts for donations. I mean,
hang on now. He's got to pay bills to people. So.
But yeah, no. If we can help, and especially for megas and such, you know, obviously it's advertising for me. So if I can help in some way, you know, cut the cost of the design fee, or you know, help with something, then you know, I'm pretty up for it.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Very cool. Well, very cool. So let me mention upcoming shows real quick. So next week, Scott Burks and Shorty Knits are going to be on the show. Next Sunday, talking about the end of summer push and what you need to do in your area to kind of get ready for the fall geocaching and such. In 2 weeks, I don't know who scheduled this guy. This doesn't make any sense to me, but we're going to do a puzzle show with some guy, Electric Water Boy. So no, I'm kidding. We're excited to have Tom Brotherman, Electric Water Boy, will be on in 2 weeks, talk about the puzzle show, and then very excited to have John Bishop back from AMS Travel Sales, and he's going to give us an update on the recent trip that they took with one of our Geocache Talk listeners up to. They did the caching the waves as they went up through up to Alaska, and we'll talk about Costa Rica a little bit. Jesse, fire it up, man.
Yeah, I really would like to make that trip.
Possibility, but there's other trips too. One thing we'll talk about with John Bishop is that there are a lot of trips that are not just this one. There's a lot of them that are available.
Oh yeah,
and John will talk about how geocaching fits into travel possibilities with AMS Travel. So we're looking forward to that.
This is actually something that I've sparked on a couple of times now, because we get a lot of the tour ships, the cruise ships, come into Tallinn Harbour.
Tallinn, right?
The amount of Americans and Canadians that hit our caches, because I have a few tourist-friendly caches in the centre that hit those that have said, we're in on the cruise. So a lot of caches do take cruises.
Ironically, and not too long after those shows, we're going to have Land Monkey on, and he's going to talk about his trips he just took to Iceland and went to Estonia and got to hang with Jon-Paul some. So that was kind of cool that we've sort of made full circle with some of our shows that are out there, and got to meet it was kind of cool to hear they were going to Estonia. It's like, oh, you guys see Jon-Paul to stop and say hi and all that. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, we were lucky. The organizers of the cruise contacted us last year, and when they first started putting it all together, and asked if I knew anybody that could help with organizing the tour around Tallinn that would be kind of cash friendly, and it worked out nicely, because my wife is a school teacher during the year generally, but summertime she gets 90 days off during the summer, and like many language teachers, they are tour guides for Tallinn.
Perfect. That's awesome.
We actually put together a custom tour around the old town of Tallinn and some of the outer areas that included the best caches to hit along the way.
Awesome.
So that group had a blast, because they didn't have to explain to the tour guides, oh, we need to stop here to get something weird in the book.
Right. That's great. I love that. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Please email us your comments or questions at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Geocache Talk, or at Gary Slinkard, one word, or especially Instagram, Geocache Talk, or Memphis Mafia. And of course, our Facebook page, facebook.com/Geocache Talk. Show can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, well as the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button and ring the bell so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show and have them listen in. And I was glad to hear that we had some international guests that were able to be live tonight because of the time frame. I know it's late where Jon-Paul is. It's 11 p.m. out there.
11 now, yeah. My bedtime.
For him, 11:30. I know we gotta let you go, but I was grateful to hear that. So anyway, all right. Well, until next week, don't just talk about geocaching. Buy some coins. Go to JPS Geo Designs for sure, and buy some coins from Jon-Paul, and go geocaching. Good night, everybody.
Good night.